Happy Friday to you. I am Jen Yates. You're locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com, The Walrus. We're broadcasting live from the Launch Louisville Studios at 816 East Broadway. I'm always excited, especially on a Friday, because I have Miss Gayle King up in the studio. You made it! She literally just walked through the curtain.
Yes.
That was magic. You're right on time, girlfriend. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Just
awesome.
trying to catch my breath.
Catch your breath. Catch your breath. Catch your breath. That's always a good thing to have breath.
Yes.
You're doing all kinds of cool stuff. First off, how do we meet? Do you remember?
Well, you drummed for the production of Rent.
Yes, one of my favorite musicals to play. I can play it in my sleep.
Museum over in Portland.
Yes,
so
in
we
Portland.
Played in it.
Right, yeah.
That was fun.
That was the Tim Faulkner Gallery when it was in Portland.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a lot of fun. That was my second time doing Rent. Rent is very magical in my life.
Yeah.
And,
well, you were amazing.
Thank you.
You were amazing.
So were you. And I had a blast. I laughed my ass off. And by the way, where's my bell? Here it is. Ding, ding, ding. We can cuss on this station. So
I noticed.
Yeah. Anytime we say a cuss word, we're going to donate it to charity to help the homeless here in Louisville, Kentucky. So we cuss for a good cause here. Nobody can get mad at us if we drop a dirty word.
All right. Every now and
then. Every now and a blue moon.
Damn
right.
doesn't count, does it?
Well, I don't know.
I think it
I don't
should.
think so.
Yeah, for charity.
Okay, for charity we'll count it. So, yes, we did Rent together. You've done so many musicals in your career, and you're currently doing one of the coolest things I've ever seen, The Night of the Living Dead with the Kentucky Shakespeare.
It is so much fun. This is the second year that I've been involved in a radio show with them. Last year we did War of the Worlds, and that was just a blast to do. And then we talked about doing some sort of pre-show.
Sure.
And the director, Amy Attaway, was very open to doing something like that. So Laura Ellis and myself
I love Laura Ellis.
We do 30 minutes of a pre-show. So we tell people that it starts the half hour before, because you want to be in the seats for the half-hour pre-show before the show starts.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of things. I won't give away a lot of them, but one of them that's my favorite is the lead character, who was in the movie. His name is Ben.
Yes.
So I do Michael Jackson's Ben.
Oh, you did? Is it based on the original Night of the Living Dead?
Yes, it is.
The George Romero one?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm a huge fan of horror movies and scary classics, especially the black and white stuff.
Yes, yes.
And I grew up watching that one. I actually just saw that about 2 months ago on the side. It was at the Pope Lick Haunted Woods. And you can go and lay out and watch movies. They project them on the side of a barn in the middle of a field under the stars. So you just bring a blanket and you set up, and Night of the Living Dead was showing.
With the zombies coming to the farmhouse.
Yeah,
See,
that's back when zombies were slow.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we're the actual real zombies. They were, because now they're fast, and I don't like my zombies fast. I'm weird like that. I'm old school.
You want a chance to get away.
Yeah, exactly. I got to have a chance to run.
Well, you definitely have to try to come in, since the movie now is fresh in your mind.
Oh, it is.
But it's a lot. It's just so much fun, and we change a few words to make them relevant. We try to stay in the era that the movies were. So like in the 60s, this was came out in 68.
Yes.
So there are some songs that are right from 68, but if there's something newer that we just have to do, because it relates so much to the show, the words do, that we've kind of forged that in
I'm
there.
so curious. I have all kinds of questions about this because, I love Kentucky Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I love anything theater and acting and all that good stuff. I love to go to art stuff. But how do you combine the night? I know why you did it, but I'm just curious. Are you doing Night of the Living Dead acting while there's... Like, how do you combine Kentucky Shakespeare with Night of the Living Dead? It seems so bizarre, but straight up my alley.
Well, it's. I thought the same thing when War of the Worlds came out, because it's like Shakespeare, War of the Worlds. So how is that going to do?
So polar opposite.
I have no idea how that blossomed into anyone's head, but I'm so grateful that it did, because, like I said, now last year was a little easier because that really was on the radio when Orson Welles did it.
Yeah.
Then I believe Amy got a little bit more creative, and let's take a movie and adapt from the movie, and she did it brilliantly. We went through a lot of changes in the pages and omitting some things, adding some things, but it's absolutely the movie and it moves forward like the movie does. It's the same characters, the same names.
Okay.
But it's so much fun if you've never gone or seen a radio play, which I guess nowadays, why would you?
Right.
So that makes it new within itself.
Radio
because
plays are so cool.
Well, it's neat because you walk into the studio. It's got the mic cords all over the floor, and you're in the seats. And we have several people doing all the Foley stuff, which is so much neat to see how they made thunder when you couldn't see.
Right. I was going to say, drummers, I'm a chick drummer,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Drummers are the original sound effects makers for all the silent movies and those black and
That's
white
right.
movies. So I grew up a huge fan of that. What's
I
the
don't know.
movie?
Now, the organs, the pianos, way back
Well,
in the
right.
20s and stuff.
Right, but
'Cause
I'm
that's
talking
me.
about like shotguns and
Oh,
like horse
yes.
gallops and the thunder and this
Yeah.
stuff. Have you ever seen the movie Haunted Hollywood? Or wait, Haunted, oh, what is it with Gene Wilder? Haunted Honeymoon? Haunted Honeymoon, I think it's
it
called.
is. Yeah, I saw it because Gilda was in that.
Yeah, Gilda
Yeah,
Radner is,
yeah.
yes, his wife in that. And basically, they start out, they're doing a radio show, and they're showing the behind the scenes of how you do all the sound effects and stuff. That's always been fascinating to me.
Well, it's very fascinating, and we get younger audiences too. I know there was a young lady in there last night. I think she was 10. Going on 11. So and my granddaughter's coming to one of the performances. She's never experienced that, so she is just really, interested in seeing how does this work, because now you get to see what people were hearing, and so to put the two together it's an amazing thing. I mean, there's wet spaghetti, there's stairs, so when people go up and down.
Wet spaghetti? Wait, what was
I'm
that?
not telling you why.
Okay, don't.
No, you have to come see what they do with the wet spaghetti. But they climb up and down stairs. Obviously, there's gunshots because they're zombies.
Yeah.
And we make a lot of the it kind of comes from people, but it's so neat that when things happen, birds, and then I add some piano underscoring throughout the play. So it's just fun. It's something for all the senses when you go there.
Yes, that's fantastic. Well, I also want to talk about, before I get into that, where can people see this? Let's remind them, where do they get tickets?
Okay, it's at Louisville Public Media, which is down on 4th Street, next to the Louisville Palace. If it's not next to it, it's the next building over from that.
Yeah.
It's every weekend this month, Thursday through Saturdays at 7. Sundays are at 2, except Iron Man Sunday, we will not be doing the show because it's Iron Man Sunday.
Right.
And the tickets are $20.
Okay.
I think you can get on their website. Oh, yeah, you can get on their website and probably purchase tickets there. I think you can purchase tickets if you just go there, although we're hoping that it's going to sell out so well that you need to pre-buy them. And there are also some cool T-shirts that they've made that are for sale too. So it's fun. And our last night is actually Halloween night.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yay, we love Halloween. I like anything dark. Always have.
Yeah, so, people dress up.
Yeah.
Get that black lipstick and the black nail polish. And
Yeah. Dolly
Be
Parton
creepy.
waved at me once while I was dressed like Gomez Adams on Halloween. Of course, right? I'm giving it a ding. No kidding. It's the only time I've ever stood from meeting you from Dolly Parton. It was pretty
Wow.
awesome. And I had left a little bit early because I was going to a Halloween party. And I was dressed like Gomez Adams, full, costume, the hair, the mustache, the whole nine.
Oh, my God.
The outfit. And I come around the side and security stops me. And they're like, ma'am, we're going to have to stop you right there. And I said, okay, cool. And I didn't know why.
Yeah.
And I look up, and here comes all the security guards bringing Dolly Parton to her bus.
Oh, my
And
God.
she stops, and she looks at me, and she kind of does this double take thing, like, what is that, right? And then she waves real big. And, of course, I turn around, and I'm like, who's she waving at? And there's nobody back there. And I was like, oh, Dolly just waved at me.
You sound like a really
It
cool
made my
person.
day.
I posed with a cutout of hers once. So
You did?
I'm kind of close. But
All right, right on.
Not like you. Not like you, but
Right. You're 2 degrees of separation to cardboard.
there you go. There you go.
All right. So I want to tell our listeners and everybody tuning in, and thank you for coming in, because I've been excited to get to have you up in here. Because
It's great to see you again,
same.
too, really.
I can't wait to get to work with you again, actually. I love to drum with you because it's just fun. Your pits are always fun when you musical direct. I want to tell everybody a little bit about you in case they don't know anything about you. First, let's start with, how did you get your start in music? What made you want to pursue music?
Good Lord. Well, I've always wanted to do it. I mean, it started young with piano lessons, that type of thing. Went up and did musicals in high school, all that kind of stuff. I did go to U of L, but I went for playing piano, and I went for performance, not education or anything like that. And so I just traveled around a little bit. I was married, and I ended up playing in places or having children's choirs in churches. I've always been involved some kind of way in music. We're stationed down in Panama for 3 years, and I got to do a couple shows down there. There were a lot of military people that were actors or that were involved in theater.
Yeah.
And I think this was a good outlet for them to still be able to do their craft even while they were still in the military. So that was fun. I did Camelot down there, and always in the chorus, but chorus is one of the most fun and hardest things to do. A lot of people don't realize it.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of people in chorus work a lot harder than the leads do.
Really?
Oh, you're in it. You're it. You're the background of almost everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it just kind of kept going, and I came back, and I knew I wanted to use all this music and everything I've been dealing with. So I actually professionally started at the Hyatt.
Yeah.
When the Hyatt first was built, I was one of the first waitresses. When you could still see the sky through the building.
Was that downtown? It's like downtown somewhere.
It's still, on 4th and Liberty and
Yeah,
Jefferson.
I think Jimmy Brown. Do you know Jimmy Brown?
Mm-mm.
He ran Guitar Emporium for many years there on Bardstown Road in the Highlands.
Yeah, I know where that is. Yeah,
he came in and he had all kinds of crazy stories about the Rolling Stones staying at the Hyatt and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I met a whole
back when it
bunch
was
of people
downtown.
because every new hotel, that's where all the next stars and people, that's where they stay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw
It's the Omni now.
Earth, Wind and Fire, and
Ooh.
I saw all kind of people, political and bands, because that's where you stayed, was at the Hyatt when it first opened.
Yeah.
The big see-through elevator, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I wanted to try to at least do a piano bar type of thing, and they had that up on the second floor. So I got to audition, and they accepted that, and that's kind of what started me in my career. I could only sight read very well, but I couldn't come up with keys. So people would ask for songs. If I had it in a book, I could play it.
Right.
But then I usually don't sing in keys in the books because they're mostly for sopranos back then and tenors.
Yeah.
And I'm an alto, so I didn't know how to on the spot change a key, but I would know the song.
So like transpose,
it would
basically.
Be frustrating, yeah. So I made myself learn how to do that. One of the great
just by experience?
Well, yeah.
That's amazing.
And a little, I was very fortunate in mentors that I had. I was able to avoid a lot of, I think, pitfalls that you get when you're first trying to start a career, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of the great pianists here in town, Steve Cruz, I'll never forget, he said, when you learn a song, this is what he used to do.
Sure.
He learned it in every key.
Oh,
every key. And I would just be, well, I'm not going there. But,
that's a lot.
But it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I did want to learn how to transpose. So if I saw something in one key, especially if I knew it, then I wanted to be able to change it in the key that I could sing it in.
Absolutely.
So I did take that to heart. So that's kind of what started. There used to be a wonderful open mic night at a place called the Top of the Tower, which was in the big, I think maybe the big building, the big tall black building that's adjacent or diagonal from the Center for the Arts on 5th and Main.
Yeah.
It's where the Citizens Bank is now. But the very top floor was called the Top of the Tower. And it was the top floor. And on Thursday nights, they had open mic night. And then they had jazz on Friday and Saturday nights. So I started going there on Thursdays to sit in. And that's kind of where, especially in the jazz kind of community, where you can meet other people or learn things. So I kind of started doing that.
About what year was this?
Good Lord.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think I babysat Jesus.
I love that. God, I hope you did.
No.
Tell me a little bit about that.
That's another day.
Right, that's a whole nother radio show.
But there was a wonderful singer-pianist that was here in town who passed away a few years ago, George Dawson. And he happened to hear me, I think it was at the Hyatt, because I was doing that then, their cocktail hour. And right next to Derby Dinner, that used to be a Marriott, and I got hired to sing there Tuesdays and Sundays. Sundays was huge back then because late 80s, something like that. Only in Indiana could you get a drink on Sundays.
Oh.
Anywhere. You couldn't do that here. You couldn't buy it here, that kind of stuff. And so he had a champagne brunch radio show with Liz Vissing. And I started doing the Sundays there with him, and then I started doing the Tuesdays there, and then it kind of grew.
Yeah.
And
then
there's just so many other things happened. I started playing. One time I was playing a lunch in New Albany from 12 to 2, a cocktail hour from 5 to 7, and if I was in a show at Derby, then going from First and Broadway over to Derby Dinner and do a show.
Yeah.
So I was like 7 days a week.
Wow. That's a musician could dream, kind of, though. I mean, maybe not 7 days, but, a consistent,
it was
like,
nuts.
stay
Every
residency.
day I was somewhere.
Yeah.
And some days I
Busy.
was 2 somewheres, and some days I was 3 somewheres.
3 somewheres, right. I hear you.
But my body stopped me, so I had to eventually let go to one of them. It was getting to be too much, and I was raising 2 kids, so that was insane. But you learn a lot.
Oh, I'm
You learn
sure.
a lot.
I'm sure. And you're still doing it. You're still rocking it out because you stay busy. Everywhere I look, I'm like, there's Gayle King doing that one. Gayle King doing that one.
I'm very fortunate and very grateful for all the experiences that I've had. And theater kind of got shoved upon me, actually. My goal was to front a band.
Yeah.
Or to be able to do cocktail hour things and accompany myself and the whole piano bar thing and stuff.
Yes.
I did theater, off to the side, but that was not a goal at all. It was the front band, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that with a 4-piece band called Indigo, and we did weddings. My goodness, I did somebody's wedding and then did their kid's wedding. That's how old I am.
I love that.
Generational weddings.
Right, generational
You played my
weddings.
mom's wedding, I would hear at their wedding.
Yeah.
I went, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I'm
Because-
just glad you remember.
Oh, well.
When I see people that have lived through the 60s and 70s, I'm like, I'm just glad you're still alive. Because I can't imagine. It seemed like those were wild times.
It was.
Yeah, and everybody's having fun, right? Yeah.
It was, you had to know how to pace that. And,
Right,
and
I'm sure.
And certainly sometimes you didn't.
Yeah.
But, but
I
you
almost-
woke up and you hope that you were
that you
okay
have
when
your
you
shit
woke
together.
up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So I do believe I was lucky.
Anybody from the 60s and 70s, I'm like, I'm still thankful you're here because I don't know how you survived that in those
It's
days.
amazing. I don't know. And the way things are now, sometimes it was easier then than it is now.
I could see that.
I mean,
I
really.
guarantee it was. Maybe not for the LGBTQ community or
No,
discrimination wise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as having fun and partying and
It was.
Yeah.
Much easier. You would
you're not
party
going to go
with
to jail
people.
for drunk driving.
No. And you'd party with people that
Right.
you look back and go, I can't believe I lived through that
Right.
kind of thing. And
Well, I still say that every
Yep.
now and then. I love it. Oh, well, so theater was never a goal of yours. It was never a goal of mine either. You know why I took theater?
no.
And I actually took Rent. Rent was the first thing that I ever did because it was so special to me. I got to see
Well,
it in
and
New
it's
York
so
City.
rock.
It's rock and roll, yeah. And is that Lloyd? No, it's Jonathan Larson.
Yeah.
Yeah, his story is so sad. I mean, he died,
He didn't get to
he didn't even get to see his
see
own
it.
work, and he died on, was it opening night or night before opening?
Not before, it was right there.
Brain aneurysm,
Yeah.
what a crazy story. And he wrote that story, a true story kind of about his life and his friends in a warehouse. Well, as soon as I heard, the, what's the main one? The 525, 600 minutes, that one, the big one.
Seasons of Love.
Thank you, Seasons of Love.
I had to think.
Yeah, but I could play that one in my sleep. I actually took that because my therapist, you'll love this. Mm-hmm. My therapist says, Jen, I'd seen a psychotherapist for like 8 years straight. And she said, Jen, you have trouble staying present. And I said, yes, I can. And I honestly credit that to drumming because, when you play music so much, this, you can just autopilot almost at any time, especially with drums because they can put you into trance-like states. Well, I've done it so much that my muscle memory is so in tune that I can be back there and not even have a clue what I'm doing live if I'm not focused and paying attention.
Right.
I'm somewhere else in my head thinking
I know
about
I
what
saw
I'm doing
that
tomorrow.
look doing Rent. Now
Did
I
you?
understand.
Yes. So I would, she would say to me, she goes, Jen, you need to start taking musicals. And I said, why? And she said, because it's going to help you stay present. Because there's always underscoring going on. There's, the ones that I did, I rarely had breaks. So if you don't pay attention and you're not counting your score and all that other stuff, then you're lost.
And it's so different than playing in a band.
It is so different.
It's a different world. I kind of compare it to, like, because I play piano, a lot of people assume I play organ.
Right.
And just because they kind of look alike, I mean, they really don't, because one of them does this. Well, nowadays everybody has stacked keyboards, but the way you approach an organ is not the same way a piano. Your feet are different and stuff.
Right.
And I think it's kind of like that with theater. There's a lot of wonderful band musicians that could not switch right over
can't
to
make
do a
the
musical
crossover. I know
because
ton
it's
of them.
a whole, it's a complete, first of all, you have to read.
Yes, and you have to read well.
Right.
It can't be sloppy reading.
Well, you don't get them. You get one, you usually get one rehearsal. If you're lucky, you get two with the band. If you're lucky, you get two.
That freaked me out when I first started theater.
And then you're in tech.
Mm-hmm.
And then the show opens.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then it's like you said, when you're...
And by the way, the media is always there on opening night to critique you, which you haven't even got the machine oiled up yet. You know what I mean?
See, as far as theater thinking, that's something that used to always bother me. It's like, we've only had, I mean, you know how long we've had. And then, I was told that, well, in Broadway, first of all, we're not Broadway.
Right.
But in Broadway, they're rehearsing for months.
Right.
So they should be ready their opening night.
Right, for the
because they've
stuff,
had all this time to rehearse. Mm-hmm. Here, and especially when it's community theater, you have 2 weeks. A lot of community theaters will have months. They'll have several days a week for months. But places like Derby Dinner and Stage One,
Center Stage,
and all those. Yeah. Even Center Stage will have more. Derby, we used to have 2 weeks.
Yeah. By the way, I want to talk to you about Derby Dinner Playhouse, because you did Derby Dinner Playhouse for a while, right?
A long time.
Were you up in the ceiling as the orchestra when? Because that blows my mind.
Yes, I got
you
to.
You don't even get to see what's going on. You're just playing.
But what was so cool when that stage rose, how I got into theater is I was playing at, it was the Holiday Inn on First and Broadway. And I was doing the little cocktail hour there. And after a while, you begin, and I'm sure you can know this too, because when you're in a bar or when you're in a lounge, it's a whole different world, not even a concert.
That's why I love to be on stage behind my drum set, because nobody can bother you there. It's my safe space. I'm like, get away from me. I don't have to deal with you drunks.
But, you can tell there's people who listen. There's people who appreciate it, but you're still the background, but they appreciate it. And there's people that just don't give a damn.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute.
Give me that dollar. We're putting money in the tip jar by the second.
But after a while, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And one of the things that one of my mentors, who was George Dawson, always told me, he said, always perform like the place is full. If it's empty, it doesn't matter. If one person's there, it doesn't matter. If two people are in the corner, it doesn't matter.
You do your best.
Always perform as if it's very important. And I got two very good things to happen in the future for me by following that. Because one night a couple of people came in and I could tell, okay, these people are paying attention, so let's pull out some big stuff and all that. And I have a wide range of things I do. I can play some classical. I try to keep up what was current at the time that I was playing, so for pop stuff and all that.
Oh, I love that.
And
so you're playing like salt and pepper and stuff?
Oh, yeah. No, if it had to have too big a beat, I couldn't.
I know,
it was just me on the piano. And some things sound dumb. Like people would say, why don't you do Piano Woman? I said, you sing it and let's see what people think.
You know what my
favorite
thing is, though, is somebody that takes like the raunchiest, dirtiest, like hip-hop rap song and does it beautifully on a piano.
Yeah.
Because it totally changes the song.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But, some things I just said, it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to sing The Lady in Red.
Right.
I'm not going to sing the words of Piano Man, but I play Piano Man.
Right.
Some people just didn't quite get it.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it. But I knew these people were watching, and they came up on a break, and what had happened was a theater called Pegasus Rising, which is no longer in existence, but it was back then, and did a lot of their shows in the Mex. They were doing production of My Name is Alice, which is a 5-woman show. Everybody sings in the beginning, everybody sings at the end, and then there's either solos or duets or trios. Everyone's name is Alice, but it's like if you were Alice, and it took every part of the rainbow of what this is Alice who's mad, this is Alice who's a grandmother, this is Alice who's a teenager, and we just did all sort of little vignettes. So those tied it to the end. Well, the director directed it from beginning to end, as opposed to, and if you've noticed, sometimes in theater they'll practice this is at the end, and then they'll go to the middle. It's almost like, I think what I hear like TV is, it just movies or something.
That's how I write music. I'm very ADD, OCD, all over the place. Like,
it's all over the place,
right? And then eventually something beautiful comes out,
and then it comes together. Well, he directed all the way, and there was a piece called Honey Pot. It was the 3rd song from the end. So it's the week before opening. And the actress refused to do it because, oh my goodness, where's my money? Because she had to say penis.
Is that a cuss word?
Well,
it's a body
no.
part.
And she had to say vagina, and she refused to do it.
Why?
So they're a week
That's
before.
Silly. It's theater.
Now think about it. It's in the 80s.
Well, still.
I'm trying to be nice about her, but anyway,
left.
you think you'd have looked ahead at wherever your parts
well, yeah.
are.
You would think you know what role you just took.
Yeah, I think she didn't.
You know, I've played with singers though that refuse to say cuss words, and I hate that because I'm like, I get why.
If it goes with the song. For me,
if it's 21 and up, though, who cares? You know what I mean?
I do to a point.
Okay.
Because sometimes my kids would come where I was singing, but then that was me, and that was so.
I get that.
I can respect that. Now, if it's in a show or something, or if I was doing something in a show, and it went with the show.
Right.
If I thought it would bother me too much to bring him, then it just didn't come.
Yeah.
And I would do it. So I'm in a gray area.
Okay. I'll be in a gray with you.
Thank you.
Right.
But she
Good, I'm
refused
glad
to
we're
do
on the
it.
same page.
And it was the week before, and they had no one to do her part because, that wasn't the only song.
Yeah.
That was one of her solos.
Did somebody else
No, they came to me and asked me, was I free?
And you get to say penis and vagina.
And I get to do it.
I'm not dinging it on that. I think that's, it's silly that we can't not talk about that.
So I learned it. They had to shove me around for the blocking because there was no way I was going to learn the blocking in less than a week. But I did learn the music, and that's kind of how I got into it. Then the music director from Derby was the one who played the show. It was only a piano show. So then I met him. He got me over to Derby Dinner, and that's how I started Derby Dinner. Was cool. Actually playing. Then I got to audition for a few things. I was very fortunate to do. I was Dina in Dreamgirls. I played the whore in Superstar 3 times.
Ooh, the whore. That'd be
Superstar.
fun. Jesus Christ Superstar. By the way, I have a list of 5 musicals that I want to play. I don't give a shit about the money. I want to play them for my resume.
You haven't played Superstar?
I have never played Jesus Christ Superstar. And my other one is Hedwig the Angry Inch.
Oh my gosh.
I want to play that so bad. That's the only audition I ever lost, and I lost it to Jeff McAllister at Actors Theater.
And I've worked with Jeff quite a bit.
Well, when I said I was really upset about it, this was years ago.
Yeah.
Then I was like, well, who got the part? The drummer role. And they were like, Jeff McAllister. I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, he toured with Leonard Skinner and Hank Jr. and plays with the Monarchs.
And I got to work
he's a
with Jeff
badass.
a bit.
I love him.
Yeah.
We've actually had him on the show. He's one of my favorite drummers in town.
I really did enjoy working with Jeff when I could.
Yeah.
But then,
great dude.
So I got to do that and Superstar, and then I did The Wiz, and I did several other shows, and I started playing for the children's shows, and I was in a couple of the children's shows. I got to do Charlotte's Web, and things
Web.
like that.
It makes me cry. Yeah.
And then went over to MTL. So things, the paths really were wonderful, and I had wonderful people to help guide me, and don't do that. Or,
well, you can tell because you're so good. You know what I mean? You can tell
I'm
when a
very
musician
blessed.
has had great mentors and great teachers.
I've been very, very lucky.
Yeah.
And then
Do you teach, by the way?
Really, I'm too busy.
That's a good thing. That's a real good thing.
And I decided when I stopped is probably when I would teach piano. I really people have asked for vocal teaching. I can kind of vocal coach. Like if your voice is more operatic, but now you're in a musical, I can help you get to there.
Yeah, you have to switch your vocal styles. Yeah,
it's
and
the
singing
styling.
in a band is totally different too. We just talked about this.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
singing in a band is totally different than singing in theater or singing in opera. They're all so different.
Well, one thing that amazed me a little about theater people is that you could be the star of a show in a 600 to 800 seat place and just sing and do this. And we used to go to the old Rudyard Kipling.
Oh, I love that place.
On Wednesdays, because that was the set-in night was
Yeah.
Wednesdays. We would do a show, and a lot of us
I've
would come
probably
from
seen
Derby
you
and
there
do
over
that.
the years.
And they wouldn't want to get up. And it would be 12 people in the bar, and I went, but you just sang in front of 600 people. But they were scared to sing in front of a small
It's a different
group.
environment, and it's more intimate. I mean, it's very intimate when you're singing.
Well, it's off the cuff, too.
Yes, true.
It's off the cuff. And Louisville has had some of the best musicians I've ever worked with, heard, or ever known, because a lot of people don't get that, especially for open mics.
Yes.
They'll just say what key and can play what you want to sing.
Yeah.
And I said, that's what I want to be able to do on piano.
Yeah.
And I'm still not all the way, but I'm a whole lot better than what I was.
You'll love this. You just reminded me of so one of my musical soulmates was Beverly McClellan, this beautiful soul from Fort Lauderdale who I toured with, and she had never had a lesson a day in her life. And she was like a musical genius, and her voice was amazing. She got to tour with B.B. King, and she did all this really cool stuff. She was on The Voice season 1. All the way to the end. Yes. So anyway, she got to do all this really cool stuff. I met her in her last 6 years of her life, and I recorded her almost every day. And I brought her here to Louisville, to the Highlands, to record a record called Hillbilly Swagger. I took her down to Stevie Ray's Blues Bar one night, and I said, "Come on, they're having a jam. Let's just show up and like blow minds, just me and you." And she was like, "All right, I'm in," which is cool because she was a recluse and she actually hated being on stage. I mean, she loved being on stage. She did not like to be around large crowds because people were constantly coming up to her all the time. So when you get that all the time,
so
you
she
just
liked the performance because then you're here.
Exactly.
And they're there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to get her out to go to a venue like that it's pretty tough. So anyway, I take her down to Stevie Ray's. We're talking. We get up. We do our 3 songs, and I'll never forget the lead guitarist, who she didn't know, was like, what key do you want to sing in? And she goes, well, what key do you want to play in? She was like, that was her response. She was like, I'll sing in any key you play, because she was that good. You know what I mean? By the way, I was also about the transpose. Now they have those little cheater buttons, the transpose buttons.
I know.
Do you still transpose like from?
Oh yeah, because and usually, and now all the younger ones, they look at you like you're nuts. But but if I'm music directing in a pit, I usually like them to tune up by ear.
Yeah.
And it shows my age, I guess, because there's so many things that I just shrivel against. I mean,
you're talking about tuning by ear as opposed to with the machine.
with the tune or anything, because now ears are going to be going. You're depending on your ear is being dependent on the tuning of a thing. It's like you don't have to know how to park anymore. If you have the money, you can get a car that'll park for you. So now that's going to be going out of your muscle memory. Right. You don't even have to drive anymore if you can afford that kind of car. And some things I do appreciate, but it's like a therapy for me. If I write or if I'm doing any transcriptions or transposing, I do it all by hand. I have pen with the sheet music, and I write everything out.
I love that
by hand. But
you know what? I'm a huge fan like you. I am a huge fan of actually physically writing musical notation.
I do all the time.
Yeah, me too.
I don't go to Finale. I don't use. In fact, if I do those, well, I don't either. I blew up my computer trying to do something one time, and I said, "Screw that."
Boom to the sky.
Yeah, gotta get some more money out. I need change now.
I'll throw some in there for you.
Change.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about did you work with Cab Calloway?
I sure did. And that was
I want to hear all about that story. Or do I? You're looking at me all crazy.
Well, this came about when I was part of it was a small big band called Pendulum Orchestra, and George Dawson is the one who got that together. So the idea was to have a 10-piece big band. Most big bands are traditionally 18-piece, and we wanted to work a lot.
Yeah.
10 is still a big number to pay, to pay a 10-piece band. But what we did, it was called Pendulum because we did from the 20s up to the current. So it wasn't all big bad music. They had a whole book about Jewish music, and we had a whole country thing, and we had a whole big band thing, and then we had a whole 70s. I did every damn Donna Summers song you could ever think of, with the wig and the whole everything.
Did you really? I could totally see you doing Donna Summers.
I had all the Donna Summers, and I do like some country songs. I really do. I respect Patsy Cline a lot now.
Oh, me too.
After I did that show, Always Patsy Cline at Actors.
Oh, yeah. And, that was a gorgeous show. I saw that.
That was
gorgeous.
Amazing. That woman, she had to learn 36 songs. Just amazing. And the range, that woman could sing from a low E flat, and she could nail a high double C. I had no idea that Patsy Cline had that kind of vocal range.
Right.
It was
How
amazing.
many octaves is that?
Three and a half, something like that.
That's quite a large octave range.
It was insane because I Fall to Pieces was way, way down like an E flat. But when she did the Lovesick Blues, the very last note is a double high C.
Wow.
And that actress hit that every time, just every time. It was such an amazing show.
I worked with the lady who was the lead in that. I can't remember.
Molly?
I think was it
Molly
Molly?
was Patsy, and Adele O'Brien was her friend.
I can't remember, but anyway, along
because it was only two women.
Yeah.
There's like 5 Patsy Cline shows, and this one, it was always ... Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
And this was about Patsy and a lady that she met in Texas at a show, and they stayed in contact through letters until Patsy died.
Wow.
And that's what the show. So the other actors had all the speaking, Patsy had all the singing. Yeah. And there were 2 songs that they came together and sang together. But what that did to both actresses was just, that was amazing.
Yeah,
that's
an
amazing
insanity.
Show. Yeah.
I love that.
It's crazy.
Man, you've had some crazy stories. So how did that lead you into Cab?
Well, Cab Calloway. So the Pendulum Orchestra got together, and we started working at, it was a Holiday Inn on Zorn by the Water Tower.
Okay.
And what we did, which now it just seems amazing as far as musicians, but we had a small group that played Tuesday and Wednesdays. The big band joined us, so we were like the nucleus: piano, bass, drum, saxophone. It was Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we added everybody else for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And what was so neat, the bar was in the middle, and then you could dine, because all the hotels had their big dining room, but it opened up into the bar. So that was neat. So you could eat and then get up and dance, or you could just sit in the bar.
Right.
And we were in the middle with the dance floor. And we got up almost about over 500 songs. The book got to be that thick because, and then I kept saying, I want to do it, I want to do this, I want to do that. And so we had, the arranger was the baritone player. He's now passed away. His name was Pete Gerhardt. He did arrangements for Jobim and international people, charts.
Yeah.
And I bugged him so much, and for free, he taught me how to arrange for the horns that were, so we had 6 horns. And he taught me how to arrange because I wanted to do so many songs. It's not that he minded, but he said, I bet you could do some of these by yourself. So he actually got free arrangement lessons, which is just
one
amazing.
Of the master arrangers.
Yeah. And George was the front guy, and he knew how to get gigs. He knew how to get, he knew how to book stuff. And
what era are we talking about? Like 70s?
80s.
80s, okay. 80s here in Louisville, Kentucky.
And that guy, he sounded just like Lou Rawls when he sang. So the women were,
panties blown off.
But he knew, oh my God. You need to ding that one.
I know, that's my
bad.
saying. I always say when I play drums, panties blow off.
That is funny. But somehow,
I can see it a mile away.
Somehow, and I don't know how he did it, but Cab Calloway was coming into town with his daughter. She sang, I forgot her name. And we were in some convention center that's out off of Hurstbourne. It was a great big huge deal. It was a big barn of a place, and they had to set up the band and set up the this, and they had tables and stuff. And so Cab Calloway was like the the big person there.
Yeah.
And
Educate our listeners just in case they don't know who Cab Calloway is.
Oh, Cab Calloway is the guy from the 20s and the 30s, and everybody has either heard him or they've seen, because there's been a ton of Merry Melody cartoons with him going, Heidi, 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 ho.
Yeah.
So he was the Heidi Hi, Heidi Ho
The Heidi
man.
Hi, Heidi
His
Ho.
hair always
I'm sure
flipped
he
over
loved
like
to be
that.
called that.
Oh, that was his signature.
Yeah.
And because he was in a lot of black and white movies, anytime they had the movies in Harlem
Man,
and
it
things
keeps
like that.
going back to black and white movies with you. Because you're doing the Night of the Living Dead
I
right
guess
now with
so.
the Kentucky Shakespeare,
But
which is a black and white movie.
It was his band. It was either him or Duke Ellington, or it was that era of that back
I love
then.
that stuff.
And so
were you always a big jazz fan?
Yeah, that's what I really was.
I know, because you mainly do a lot of jazz. I mean, we know you from theater. I know you from theater.
Yeah.
You were my musical director in Rent.
Yeah.
But
when
like
I
you
started,
said,
it was jazz, because my mom and my aunt, who I'm kind of named after, with the Catherine, they used to sing together all the time, and they did, jazz stuff. Mom listened to Ella and Sarah Vaughan and Billie
I love
Holiday,
Ella.
all those, the ones, Nancy Wilson, when it got up a little further. And
from Heart. Barracuda.
And I listened to all that, and that kind of got me that way. But she would buy me, I bet she thought I was strange, because I would ask for, classical albums, and then I'd ask for the Supremes, and then I'd ask for Joni Collins, and she'd go out about whatever I wanted to listen. Sergio Mendes, I had almost every album of Sergio Mendes, and she never questioned why did
I was going to say, I think that makes a great musician, though. I'm the exact same way. I remember, I was always collecting vinyl as a kid. I was always collecting cassette tapes as a kid.
Yeah.
And then when CDs came out, I was collecting, was it in every pawn shop I could find, which I'm from the country, so there wasn't a lot of pawn shops around.
Yeah.
Really, we had to travel really far just to even get anything. But my dad was, of course, a musician, and he was a huge music lover. We always had music on in the house, and it was everything. I mean, it'd be classical one day, and then it'd be Tony Williams and Miles Davis the next, and then it'd be the Grateful Dead, and then it'd be Jimi Hendrix, and he even bought me like DeBrat CDs and Queen Latifah and Grandmaster Flash when they came out, and Beastie Boys. Like my parents did not care what I listened to,
and my mom didn't either.
They wanted me to
I
be exposed to all of it.
Beatles and so because we're talking two different eras too.
Right,
but,
I love the
but
Beatles.
She would just whatever I asked that I wanted to hear, she made sure that I got it. I've still got some of the albums.
Yeah.
In tucked away somewhere.
That's
of
so
some of the
cool.
ones that she bought, and she always encouraged me, just whatever. So I give tons of props to her for supporting me.
Yeah,
in
it's always
what
good
I
to
wanted
have
to
a
do.
parent and somebody in your family to encourage you to do it. My mom would always tell me, go upstairs and practice your drums, or go out to the garage. We had a huge barn out back that was my dad's shop, because my dad was an oil well dude, and I've got oil well dudes in my family. He ran a pump business, and he ran water lines, and there was always pipes and ditch witches and all kinds of things. But anyway, we had a garage band out in the garage,
cool.
and we'd set up the drum set, and he was a vintage drum collector. He still is. And and I would just go out there and practice nonstop. It was my little safe haven. I could get away from the whole world there.
And drums too. Ooh, because when you first start, it's not pretty. Drums and violin are not pretty.
Oh, I know violin. God, those squawks. Some mom the other day was just telling me that their kid was taking violin, and I said, God bless you.
Yeah.
Because you really do have to
need the
sit through some
patience.
bad.
Yes, you
to
do.
get to the good.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
you
good
do.
thing was my dad was really good. He was touring by the time he was 10. So all around.
Wow.
Yeah. And he went on to play with a bunch of people. A lot of the early formations of Exile, the I Want to Kiss You All Over band.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
very famous from here. I'm from South Central Kentucky, down near Lake Cumberland. So
You're from South Central?
yes, ma'am. Adair County, born and bred. Columbia represent. Right in the middle of Green River and Lake Cumberland.
Wow.
And my
beautiful,
grandparents
though.
ran campgrounds all over the country, and especially in Del Hollow down there. They ran the campground. So every summer I would go stay with them in the little RV, and we would go fishing and play music around the campfire, and just do outdoorsy cool stuff.
Tell you simpler things.
I know. You know what they
Simpler
did,
times.
and I love them for this. They sold everything that they had. They bought a trailer, a double wide trailer, and and a Winnebago, and they left and was like deuces, and I'd be like, where's my grandparents out this time? And they'd be like, oh, they're in the Grand Canyon right now, just cruising around, or they're at Gulf Shores running campgrounds and
Oh my God, that
fishing.
is so cool though.
Yeah,
but that is so.
Oh,
cool.
I know. I had some cool fam.
Yeah.
They're well, all of my grandparents are gone now except for my pops, and my poppy is like 95 right now.
Wow.
So yeah, he's an ex-military man. Served tours in World War II in Korea and the whole nine. He's retired. So but you'll love it. He's a green thumb, and he's got this little thing that he rides on, and he has the best gardens. In fact, I tried to get him to submit his, you're going to love this, his cabbages to the state fair this year, because he grows the biggest freaking cabbages I have ever seen. The heads on them are like huge, right?
Oh, God.
So he'll have his little garden, and he'll ride his little thing, and he'll garden outside, like riding it. It's just so funny.
That. I love that. I
you gotta love it. Where are you? Are you from Louisville?
Yes, I am. I was born out at Fort Knox. My mom was in the Navy.
All right.
And I guess I didn't want to be born on a naval base, so I waited till she got back home because she's from here.
Yeah.
And I was born out at Fort Knox.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like Dixie Highway somewhere.
Huh?
I said Dixie Highway somewhere.
No. You know Fort Knox.
Yeah, it goes all the way down though, doesn't it? Go through that?
But it's not Dixie Highway when you get to Fort Knox.
I didn't know. I think it goes all the way to Florida though. That's what I heard.
Florida?
Yeah, it goes all the way to Florida. Girl, I'm going to have to educate you. We'll stick to music, but we're going to educate you when we get off this show.
Yeah.
Gayle, can you crack me up? By the way, what was your favorite song in Rent? Do you remember the songs? That one's so special to me. By the way, I love that one because I got to play trash cans and lids and all kinds of wacky things.
Seasons of Love for me, because I had heard that and everything outside of the show. For me, especially back then, it was all the time. It's almost like Annie. The sun will come out tomorrow, and I want
to. It is. Yeah, or Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Love the song, but my goodness, can we do another song?
It's played out.
So that wasn't my favorite one. It was, I think it was the girls' duet. And I can't think of what the name of it is, but I think it was that one.
I can hear it in my head.
You know
right
what
now.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
I can't think of the name. I think that was my favorite.
Well, and I love to play. I loved the Tango Maureen.
I love that one too. Yeah,
it was an Argentine tango, wasn't it? Yeah, I love playing.
See, those
are
fun.
Those kind of grooves are really fun.
Yeah.
The reason I took Rent, though, other than my therapist telling me I need to learn to stay present and read musical scores for hours, is Rent is half electronic drums and half acoustic drums. Do you remember that? You're triggering sound effects. If you listen to Angel's Death Scene, what's Today for You, Tomorrow for Me?
Yeah.
That is all electronic. And on Broadway, they actually played it to track. Well, we actually recreated the track and sequenced it exactly as it was. And it was so funny because when I'm going to call them out for this, when the media people, I don't know who they were with, when the media people came to see that show that we were doing, they put in their review, well, it sounds like they're doing this to a track. And I was like, they must have not done their homework and know that the actual Broadway version does it to a track. And they send you the track, and you can use it if you want, or you can recreate it from scratch. But it's electronic hip-hop, it's like techno music.
You mean the whole show?
No, Rent, girlfriend, Rent. In the middle of the Angel Today for You.
Just that part. Yeah.
There's a couple other ones in there, too. There's like two, I believe. But it's all
got the techno stuff.
Yeah. But the reason I took it was because it's half electronic drums, half, half acoustic drums.
And I did learn this too, because I got a really bad review, I think, on one of the first shows that I was in. And you have to take that with a grain of salt. You can't let it determine the rest of your performance, because usually it's your first performance, in the public. And if you let that sway you to a certain way, it can even be too overboard too.
Yeah.
I've seen it's some reviews, and then I've gone to the performance, and I go, well, "Who were they talking about?"
Right.
Because I didn't see that.
Right.
I didn't see that. So it's and it's a person's opinion.
Yeah, of course.
It's
yeah,
not ingrained in stone, and it's not going to make
factual.
you.
It's
or
subjective,
break you.
is what you should say.
And it's not going to make you or break you.
No, I've had mostly good reviews for the most part. I've read some really dumb reviews though, and most of the people writing them were like 19. Let's be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, with like very little experience. But at the same time, I've always thought reviews were kind of silly. You know what I mean? You want to put it out there to try to get people to the event.
And that makes sense, but what I don't understand is...
But people take them to heart.
Well, some people leave after the end of Act 1, and when I found that out, I was amazed because how do you review it if you don't even see the second half? Correct. But I understand that does happen, and that's like a normal kind of thing to happen with theater reviews, and I don't get that at all. Yeah.
By the way, when I did Actors Theater, when I did Matthew Sweet's Girlfriend, the girlfriend play, the LGBTQ AI plus thing, there's a big scene at the end of Act 1 where the boys kiss each other. Mm-hmm. And every time, of course, I was behind plexiglass just having to watch it, watch the audience. Every single night, somebody would get up and leave during that part.
Wow.
Because they were offended. And I'm like, really?
When was this?
Oh, this was 2014. So, sister, it was...
Not too
I can't do math.
Ago.
5 years ago? 5 years ago, yeah. But yeah, no kidding.
I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either. I wasn't either. But I was like, really? That's kind of lame. It's 2014.
Or why did you come? Or maybe you didn't know.
Well, a lot of them didn't know what the play was about. And it was about two boys falling in love in high school. It's this awkward, like, first love kind of... and if you listen to Matthew Sweet's Girlfriend, which is one of my favorite records of all time, it's a beautiful record. And they, the way that the playwright, Todd Allman, took that and warped it around this love story was just amazing. And Matthew Sweet himself, loved it. He sent us all roses and stuff, It was really cool.
That's just interesting to me that you would have no knowledge, and then you go see something, and then you get offended, and then you get up and
right.
leave.
Look, if you go to see theater and you get offended, please. I mean, the Book of Mormon, Wild Party, that Wild Party one, that's pretty crazy. There's... It's like you can't go see Rocky Horror and get offended that some dude is in fishnets. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or
why go?
Yeah. By the way, I also love Rocky Horror. I've played it twice and can play it in my sleep just as good as Rent.
I've always loved doing Rocky
it's so
Horror.
Fun.
Always loved doing it. That's so much fun to play. That's one that I never did audition for or anything to be in it.
Right.
There are some shows that I love being in the pit. I could see you as
Magenta.
That would be fun, but I tell you,
it would be fun.
There are some shows that I love being in the pit so much that
me too.
I almost would rather play a few shows.
What are your favorites?
Rocky, I've always loved to play that, and some I've been in and I've played, so I've been lucky to be in the pit and on stage.
Yeah. I was going to say that Time Warp, though, I could play that all night. It's just fun. It's so fun. Yeah.
I love The Wiz, and I've been able to music direct, and I was Glinda, so I got to do that. I've been able to music direct and be in Little Shop. Little Shop is a blast.
I love Little Shop, of course. That's another one on my list. So Jesus Christ Superstar.
You haven't done Little Shop?
I have never done Little Shop of Horrors, but I know every song.
Fun.
I guarantee that. Yes.
Those two shows, yes, you would just love to play.
Yeah.
You would get that in muscle memory just.
Oh yeah.
After the first.
I want to do that Kinky Boots too. That new one by the Cyndi Lauper one.
That's Cyndi Lauper, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple of songs from that. That seems like a fun show to play too.
Yeah.
But those three, and of course they're all old school, but I just absolutely love them. I did like playing Rock of Ages.
Oh yeah, that's all the rock and roll songs. Yeah, I would love that too.
You would have fun playing that.
I'm a rocker, so I love anything like Andrew Lloyd Webber. I've always wanted to do Evita as well because of the drum parts in it.
Oh my gosh, it's got that 5/4. No, I'm sorry, 7/4. That
cool.
just makes you go like
Insanity.
every time.
Yeah.
You could tell when he come up because everybody in the pit would be like. Because once you get going, you can't stop.
Yeah.
And it's insane to keep
Is it
7/4.
super fast 7/4
Yes, it
at a
is.
high tempo?
And it's hard for the it's taxing for the cast too.
Oh, I bet.
That are singing it. It's a
Yeah.
money song, and it just
You know what? One of my favorites to get to play. Well, I've loved everything I've done. To tell you the truth, I would not take a musical if I didn't like it or love it. You know, because you're doing it so many times. Like some of these runs can be like with 13 night or 13 shows or. You know,
yeah,
and,
but
at
see,
Actors
Derby,
Theater.
sometimes
Yeah.
we used to do 6 to 8 weeks.
I know.
6 nights a
That
week.
is insanity to me.
But one thing that I did like about, especially at Derby Dinner, and that was when I was first starting too, so what a place to learn if it seems like now I'm going to be doing some theater.
Rules. Yeah.
To have that type of thing. So now, because honestly, it takes a good 2 weeks to get a groove in a show.
I agree.
I found that out. And that was 6 nights a week. It still took 2 weeks. By the end of your second weekend, it's kind of like, okay, here we are.
And it's a lot of time.
And
It's
then
very
it's fun.
time consuming. Anytime I look at an offer on the table for a musical for myself, I'm like, well, do I want to lose this month and that month? Because it's going to be at least a month that you're
And
not
over there, it's going to
you're
be
just not
about 2
available.
months. It
Right.
could be 2 months
Yeah.
over there. And
That's probably why I've never worked for Derby Dinner yet.
because
It's one
they're
of
the
only
long run.
places.
But I loved it, especially starting that way, because then I got to learn as I was going along.
Yeah.
And how things ran and how this because it was nuts. It was 8 shows a week, and if it was during school year, sometimes you had 10 o'clock shows
Yeah.
for the kids. We would kind of shrink it down a little bit, or if there was some more adult type of thing, you know, it'd be the kids part of the show. So I mean, you had Tuesday through Sunday.
Right.
You had 2 on Wednesday. You had 2 on Sunday.
Ooh, those
and
back-to-backers
sometimes you
kill you.
had. But sometimes you had a 10 o'clock show when they brought the kids. Actors would do that. We had that weekend. It was.
I did one at Actors where we had to be there early in the morning for the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had to do the night show.
But we had a 5-pack where you had Mondays were off, you know. But when you hit Friday, you had Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. That was the 5-pack.
Yeah.
And that was just like, oh my Lord! You know, by the time you got to Monday,
Yeah,
you were
you're
ready.
exhausted,
You were
yeah.
ready to be off on that Monday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you never know because, I mean, you know, so much stuff could come up while you're doing a run like that. And these runs are long. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could injure yourself. You could misstep and not be able to, you know, I'm just throwing random examples out there. But there are so many things that can go wrong. By the way, let's talk about, too, my favorite thing in the world is when, because theater is live.
Yes,
and
it is.
Something always goes wrong
And I've been in
somewhere.
those, yes.
Me too. And I've had the most epic going wrong things ever. One of my all-time favorites, we just talked about Rocky Horror Picture Show, is when he goes, Antissa, and he's waiting, and they're like, say it,
Yeah,
say it. And
yeah.
you're waiting for him to say patient.
yeah.
All of a sudden, he's like, Antissa. And then it was like, cuckoo. The whole lights, everything in the entire building just completely went black. I mean, there was no electricity anywhere. The sound was gone. And everybody's
my
just sitting there. The whole
God.
audience is sitting there in the dark. And
Nobody said patient.
no.
I would've.
No, hang on. Nobody said it. And then everybody's like, and they are like, you're going to have to evacuate the premises because there is a fire in the building. And we're like, what the hell?
Oh, my
Right?
gosh.
Ding. And so we all leave. The orchestra goes out back. It's in the
Yeah.
middle of the play.
Yeah.
The whole audience is out in the parking lot. Here comes these fire
Wow.
trucks. Maybe like 30 minutes later, they clear the building. We're allowed to go back in. And the director was like, let's start exactly where we stopped. And they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So he's up there and they're like, patient. This is an hour later, you know, patient. And they're like, and it goes crazy. And I was like, wow, that could not have been more perfect timing on if you're going to shut something down.
Yeah.
That's it.
The things that happened though, it's crazy. I remember I went and saw a production of Big River over in Louisville, and the guy broke his leg, and he's supposed to be on a raft.
Oh, no.
And he came out on the raft in a wheelchair, and I lost my entire mind when I saw that. It wasn't a funny number, but
Yeah.
he's rolling on the river in a wheelchair. I mean, it's I know my mom passed away while I was in the middle of playing Once on This Island, of all
Ooh.
shows
Oh.
to be doing.
I'm so
and,
sorry.
She came to every show that I was in here. She always made sure she was front center when I
love
did
that.
that show, when I had to say penis and vagina, here comes money.
There's your mom.
and I would always say, hi,
Give me the
Mom.
money. Yeah. My mom comes to every show, too, if she can. She's not able to come to all of them, but we've had some epic shows where she flew down to Key West, and I did a show in Key Largo right on the beach. It was the most gorgeous thing ever, and she was there to experience it with me.
And it's really nice. And she would always be sure. And what was so... and I actually blushed because when I was in that show that I had to say penis and vagina, it was in the mech, so you know how small the mech is up in the center.
Oh, yeah.
And my blocking, both times when I said each of those words, I turned right where she was and had to say penis and vagina. And she just died laughing.
Oh, yeah, good.
She
had a
she
good
thought
sense of
it
humor.
was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I would always have to say, hi, Mom. It was almost like the Carol Burnett ear thing, but I always used to have to say, hi, Mom. And we were in the middle of a Once on This Island run at Actors Theater, and she was in the hospital, and she passed away, and I was there like a Saturday morning, and I called the stage manager, and he said, well, whatever, what do you want to do? And whatever you want to do, we'll do that.
Right.
And I said, she would come back and haunt me
if you didn't play
paying all this money for your lessons, and you better. and so I did, and it was 2 shows that day.
Wow.
Both of my kids were not here; they were both in the military, and so we waited a whole week for them to fly in and to do the arrangements and stuff. And I never missed a show. I did those 2 shows the day she passed. I did all the shows through the week.
But isn't it therapeutic, though? I mean, get your mind
what
off
else?
of things.
Well, what else
right.
was I going to do? And I was waiting for my kids to come in.
Yeah, you would have been miserable had you not played it.
And then the next Saturday morning was her funeral, and we were down at St. Augustine's down on 13th and Broadway. We're Catholic, and there's a part in the ceremony in the mass where you turn and may peace be with you, and you just to your neighbors kind of thing, recognizing.
Yeah.
And I turned around, and that entire cast had come to the funeral.
Wow, how amazing!
That so it was a very special thing. It was just a very special thing. They were so supportive. Everyone was, but I learned that too. That I've been in shows where I've seen actors, they would get, after the show, we have news to tell you, and then you'd find out, oh my gosh, their mom died or their dad died, and they would go and they'd come back and they'd be in the show. And I remember when I first started just being amazed
at how strong
at
they were.
how you did that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it with the emotional part.
But I tell you,
hidden in an orchestra, yes. Because you're under, people don't see you.
Oh, yeah, because I was like this the whole...
Yeah,
I was okay until T. Moon died. And then it was that to the end of the show, I would sit behind the blacks after the show and just let it go. And the stage manager was wonderful. He would just sit and do his thing in the booth until I was ready to go.
Louisville's full of some amazing people.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so proud to be from here and the musical legacy that has been, with Louisville and through Louisville, the musicians and the actors and actresses that have come, from the great big ones, Victor Matura's from here.
Yeah.
You find out some of these actors that are from Louisville, some of the big music, Lionel Hampton.
Yeah.
These big,
by
great
the way,
jazz people.
In my car right now, I have a book about Lionel Hampton. And I spun some of his vibraphone stuff the other day underneath some friends. I like to sometimes spin some weird music underneath. And he was one in... this guy that I teach, an older guy who's very educated on jazz and all kinds of music. He actually teaches me more than I teach him. He does. He really does.
Yeah.
He used to write for the Leo for the jazz stuff. Anyway, he gave me a book on... His name is Martin Kasdan. Oh, he's a genius, man.
Yeah.
He knows everything. He's so smart with jazz and drummers and musicians. Anyway, he gave me the book for Lionel Hampton and educated me on him. So anyway, Gayle King, it's awesome having you up in my studio today.
Thank you.
Yes, we're going to take a short break because I have a phone call calling in of some dudes that I met that are out on the Bourbon Trail right now. And they're just it's their first time in Louisville, Kentucky.
Cool.
And I said, I want you to call in and give me, the skinny on your trails and how you're enjoying Louisville. So we're going to take a short break, spin some music, talk to them. You can sit in on that convo because they're probably going to be lit.
Yeah.
It's Friday, and they've been on a Bourbon Trail since like noon. So that's going to be fun. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. I love you, Gayle King. Thanks for being here on a Friday. I am Jen Yates, the Generator. You're locked on to LRS102.com. The Walrus, it's Third Eye Blind with Semi-Charmed Life.
Hey, what's up?
And I'm excited because right now, I'm going to tell you how I met these dudes first off. I met some dudes last night at a bar who were in town for the first time ever in Louisville, Kentucky. They were in the Highlands, and they said to me that they were here for the Bourbon Trail. So I'm having them call in today. They're from Phoenix, and this is Glenn from Nebraska. How are you doing, Glenn?
Doing great, Jen. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Man, you're on a mint julep tour bus right now taking a bourbon tour.
How Kentucky?
Yeah, correct. We're
Straight up
riding
Kentucky.
around with Cindy. She's giving us a good show.
I know. I can hear her in the background. That's Cindy. She's the tour guide.
Yeah, I actually had to take her off speakerphone.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it sounds better off speakerphone. So, yeah. I can hear it. It's loud back there. Somebody's having a good time.
It is loud, but it's been a good time. You know, you pour some bourbon in people and they start talking a little louder.
Yeah, no shit. No kidding. Yeah, y'all were talking quite loud last night, drinking your White Claw, mango White Claw. I have to call you out for that.
I don't remember what you were talking about.
I'm sure you don't.
That sounds like fake news to me.
Alternative facts, yeah. Hey, so tell me a little bit about your experience here in Louisville, Kentucky. Have you all been having fun?
Oh, we've been having a blast. So Louisville's never been on my radar until we started talking about coming down to the Bourbon Tour. 3 of us went to school together, just looking for a guy's trip, and this place is not disappointed one bit.
Fantastic.
We had a blast last night. Obviously ran into some pretty cool people, right?
Yeah. Me and my friends. Yeah. No, it was very nice meeting you, and I love that Louisville has not ever been on your radar, but welcome. This is one of the most coolest cities you'll ever be in.
Absolutely.
I guarantee that. I've toured the country.
But yeah, no, I completely agree. Probably be back again, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, hope you get a chance to try some of the restaurants because we have some of the best food in this part of the country. A lot of people don't know that.
Did you?
Yeah, so we went to Jack Fry's last night.
Oh my gosh, I love Jack
we were
Fry's. Yes.
completely blown away. That's
Good.
a great place.
No wonder
So-
you were in the Highlands then. Yeah, super rad,
Yep.
man. Oh, well, I tell you what.
Yep.
How much bourbon have you had today?
Oh, just not much at all.
Oh,
You know,
really? Darn, I was hoping to get y'all lit.
yeah, I'm not being sarcastic either.
Right. I'm sure you're
we've
not.
sampled quite a bit of your good stuff here.
What's your favorite so far?
So we just left Wild Turkey, been to Four Roses and Woodford, and right now we're on our way
I
to
love Woodford,
Buffalo Trace.
Ah, Buffalo Trace.
Yeah,
That's a good one too.
Yep.
Did they take you on Maker's Mark on that one too?
So this one we're actually missing Maker's Mark.
Okay.
We chose this one because it had a couple of the other ones on. So that's why we went in this direction.
Right on. Well, if you ever get to do Maker's Mark, it's really fun because you get to dip your own little bottles in the little runny red wax. Yeah, that's super fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
What have you learned anything new that you did not know before about bourbon? Do you know now the difference
between bourbon and
whiskey?
No.
No,
So
you still don't. We talked about this last night.
No,
You're
I
totally
haven't
failing.
learned a whole lot more about bourbon just because, I mean, we drink a lot of it. We talk a lot about it. I mean, what?
What?
I don't drink
Where
a whole
are we?
lot of it.
Yeah.
But just the history around each of the distilleries has been amazing to learn. So that's all been fun. Everyone we've met in Kentucky's been great so far.
Kentucky's cool as hell, man.
So.
We get a bad rap outside,
yeah.
but I'm telling you, when I tell people all the time, we're the coolest state.
Oh, it's really neat.
The grooviest.
Be neat if you had a chance to get down to the Bat Factory, because then you can get a commemorative little Louisville Slugger if you go on that tour.
Oh yeah, did you hear that?
I didn't hear a word of that, actually.
She said you should go to the Louisville Slugger Museum while you're here too.
Oh, yeah. That's on the list for tomorrow, actually.
Okay, awesome. What else you got going on? Because y'all are just doing the whole sightseeing tour.
So today we're outside of Louisville doing all the distilleries we can hit on this tour. And then tomorrow we're going to hit up some of the ones in town. And we're going to go to Louisville Slugger. Here, there's a great art fest going on. That could happen.
St. James.
Right.
I'm going to busk it here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just kind of flying by the seat of our pants.
Well,
whatever seems fun at the time.
Dude, that's how I roll. I call it floating. I love to float. Don't plan. You can make one. You got one main goal. Let's go to Kentucky and go to the Bourbon Trail, and then boom, you're like, oh wow.
But if you make it to the Slugger Museum,
absolutely, and that's a great word. I'm probably going to steal floating from you. So
yeah, I was trying to think of anything else that they need to see while they're here.
The museum, Ali Museum, because it's right down the street.
Well, I was actually going to recommend, I go to a place called Cave Hill, which is right up the street from where I met you all last night. It's a cemetery, and Muhammad Ali is buried there, and it's just a quick little ride through, but it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places to go. They got crosses everywhere. I usually go there to write. There's there's all kinds of animals up in there, bamboo, all kinds of just ponds and cool things.
But the museum is really cool, too, because it's 4 stories.
Yes.
And it's some of it's interactive, some of the things you can look at and get some of the history of
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. I remember him as Cassius Clay.
Right.
Oh, fun note. My grandmother used to babysit him.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
You got all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know if you can hear Gayle King at all, but she's talking about you should visit the Muhammad Ali Center. I was saying you should go to Cave Hill Cemetery. It's a quick run through, and you can see where he's buried, as well as Colonel Sanders, and definitely take in the magician statue while you're there.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to tell you a story about the magician later. But yes, the Frito-Lay magician is also buried there, as well as the teacher who wrote the song Happy Birthday that we sing today to everybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a lot of very famous things that people are buried there. And it's very cool. Yeah. No kidding. But it's right in the Highlands. I mean, it's just right there, and it backs up to Cherokee Park.
Yeah.
And, there's so many cool things about Louisville, Kentucky. We welcome you here. I always like to say Kentucky is the state of everything bad for you. We love everything bad for you here. That we love to smoke. We love our bourbon. We love
you got to
to
get
gamble.
barbecue. They got to get some barbecue for the
Yeah, get some barbecue. Yeah, or taking a hot brown.
We'll definitely be hitting some barbecue.
But do not drink those damn mint juleps. I'm totally joking. I know you're on the mint julep
tour. That's the
tour.
biggest waste of bourbon ever.
I know. No, I wish you luck and success on your little trip today. I'm sure it's going to be wild, and you never know. We might run into each other again later tonight.
Hey, you never know. Keep your fingers crossed.
But real quick, how in the world did you all find Big Bar? Of all places in the Highlands. Did you Google a certain location to go to, or you just stumbled in on that?
We stumbled in there.
Oh,
I love it. That's how to roll, I'm telling you.
Left Jack Brad's and started walking up Highland.
Okay.
And basically we were looking for the first open bars.
Well, yeah, you hit the jackpot of bars where you were.
Yeah.
Caller.
Yeah. Oh, it says caller. Hey, there's a scam likely call coming through at the same time. Let's end that shit. Nobody answers that shit. Oh, did I lose my dudes? Oh, I lost my dudes.
Oh, no.
Let's call them back real quick. I don't know how that happened, but some scam likely thing came through, and I was like, and it ended their phone call too. Let's see if they're still there. Glenn, are you still there with us? You're there. Here he is. Hey, Glenn. Sorry, I hung up on you because a scam likely damn call came through, and that was some BS.
Sit down.
Yeah, that was rude.
It was rude. Screw your scams, people. We're not answering because it says scam. When did they just started doing that recently? It does. Now on the iPhones, it says scam likely. And it used to say just the number.
Yeah.
Now it says scam likely. And I'm like, when did they do that? It's so weird. So, what do you got on the agenda for after your little bourbon trail? And where are you currently right now? You said Mint Julep. Where is that? Is that here in Louisville?
No, we're on a Mint Julep tour. We're the ones who operate the tour. We are just about to pull up the Buffalo Trace.
Okay,
so I'm actually going to have to cut you off.
Yes, we're going to cut you off. Yes, and Glenn, it's been awesome talking to you. Welcome to Kentucky. Louisville loves everybody. We are the compassionate city for a reason, you know. So you'll want to come back. I guarantee. We're like the new Austin or the new Seattle. That's how I feel. Hey, and check out the music.
I could see that.
Yeah, check out the music scene while you're here. It's badass.
Absolutely.
And we're both musicians, professional musicians in the city that you're on this radio station with. So check out some live music. Have fun tonight. Enjoy your Louisville Slugger bat. You know, don't get too drunk, man. If you do, Uber or Lyft.
Yes, Uber.
You know what I mean?
Hey, we didn't even bring a car. So that's the only
Perfection. That's how I roll too. I like to roll that way as well.
Then drink up.
Yeah, drink up. Y'all go get some bourbon in your bellies and have fun.
Will do. Thanks a lot, Jen.
Hey, thanks for calling in, Glenn. That was Glenn from Nebraska. That's fun, isn't it? I love meeting random people. I was telling you before. I'm like, I know a lot of people, and I'll just call, I'll call them up and be like, hey, you want to be on the radio show? And they all do. And it's so fun.
So much fun.
It's so fun to put fun people on the radio. So I have some friends that have a boat down here on the Ohio River on River Road, and they're going to be calling in with, weather reports. How is the Ohio today?
So much better than yesterday. Oh, my God.
And you'll love this. I found an auctioneer who's going to do drops for my radio show. Now, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with auctioneers and their fast speak. I was like, how did he even do that? It's mind-blowing. Like, my brain can't even process what I'm hearing from it, much less do that. And you'll love this story. This is a fan of mine online saw me post something about lawn darts. All right. I loved lawn darts when I was a kid. You know what I'm talking about? The real ones that, by the way, people, the government banned lawn darts.
Did they?
After one person got pumped in the head with one. After one. What does that tell you about guns? We're not going to get into politics, but just saying, think about that.
Yeah.
All right? So, I had posted something about I really miss lawn darts and all that, and they're banned, and they're illegal to sell now. They're illegal. You can go to jail for selling lawn darts.
How did you get hit in the head with a lawn
I
dart?
didn't. Some kid did.
I mean, how does...
being stupid.
I'm trying to...
Drunk? I don't know.
I can't even picture.
I mean, you know what I'm talking about. You lay the circles down, it's got the metal, and you throw it. It's like cornhole, but cornhole is like the cheesy version of lawn darts.
Yeah, but why would you be around something is metal with a sharp point? Why would you be in its trajectory?
Not on purpose, no. But anyway, this lady ends up messaging me, and she says, I run an auction house. I'm a big fan of yours. I saw your post about lawn darts. I'm going to send you some. And I went, are you kidding me? She goes, all you got to do is give me an address. And she goes, look, we can't sell them because it's illegal to sell lawn darts.
But she can give them away.
But she can give them away. So don't you know, like last week I go in and I have this package waiting for me, and it's the lawn darts. So I got them, right?
How many did you get?
It's the whole thing. And they're real old. It looks like 70s, a box from the 70s.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that wild? Wait, where was I going with the story?
I don't know, but who are you going to play with?
What, with lawn? I'll find somebody to play with.
I bet you will.
I just need a yard, girl.
Don't drink.
No.
Because you'll get hit in the head with
No, I'm not that. I'm like, give me a little bit more credit than that. Well, I was a softball player all through high school and college in the outfield.
I did too.
So I'm like, I can see something coming quick.
Yeah.
My muscle memory is good. I was
played
a catcher.
first base.
Did?
With the local, it was an adult league. In fact, we played for... Oh my gosh! I think I played for about 6, 7 years. I played fast pitch and slow pitch.
Me too. Which one do you like better?
I like the rules of fast pitch better.
Me too.
Slow pitch, it was
you can steal in fast pitch.
Well, and you wear the metal cleats and you can steal.
Yeah, that's what I said. You can steal. That's my favorite part.
And the bunt, and it's just I like.
You were first base in both.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I was a right center fielder, left center fielder because I was always really fast. And my obviously because I'd been drumming my whole life. I mean, my hand-eye coordination is really good. My dad was the drummer. My mother was a champion softball player and a bowler.
Wow.
Yeah, and she has a lot of really great. She's a great quilter and a great baker and all kinds of. She's got great qualities about her. But one thing I remember, one of my most traumatic when I was a child, was my mom coming home and she had cut, like her whole kneecap was hanging off basically. She had slid into like third base.
Oh.
I mean, they were like, we were talking about the country girls. They don't play. They're like rugby players.
Well,
you know
I tell you,
what I mean?
we didn't play either. I had scrapes and bumps. In fact, I've got a knee injury. I slid wrong, and now, as at my age, I have problems with this knee because of how wrong I slid when I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Well, in fast pitch,
crazy.
I was a catcher, and you know how I got the job is that we had this amazing girl from Florida that had transferred schools, and she had been studying fast pitch pitching her whole life, and her dad was a coach. She could throw like 80 miles an hour and like 4 different pitches in high school. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So everybody was scared of it, right? And they were like, but I wasn't. I was like, I'm not scared to catch her.
I wouldn't have caught.
I was like more of the, it was always a tomboy growing up.
I was too.
Yeah, and so
was.
They named me a catcher, so I became a catcher. The only thing I didn't like is wearing all that gear because it's so hot outside, But you had the face mask and all that. I got hit in the head a few times.
Well, that's what stopped me. I played until when I started singing, and then I was still in leagues and still playing games and stuff like that. And George was saying, well, that's what you're doing, but you want to do this now. And one game, I was facing west and the sun was going down that way, and it was a left-handed batter, and they zinged it in the air, and I misjudged it. It hit me in the corner of my mouth, and I was talking like the Cosby Kids because I couldn't. And I called George and I said,
"Just say the Cosby
Kids." And my
gosh.
mouth was swollen. And I called him. It was a Sunday, and I said, "I can't come in tonight because I was in a game and I've got and I'm talking like this, and my lip was it was horrible." He said, "You have a job
so
tonight."
sorry.
I had to go in and sing, and I sounded like this when I was singing.
You're killing me, Go
And I
King.
stopped. But that ended my softball career.
I'm so sorry.
It did.
Tragic.
It was awful. It took a whole tube of lipstick just to cover the top lip. My mouth was so swollen.
Oh my goodness.
And he made me stand up there on the bandstand and sing like this.
That's
for the whole
horrible.
thing. It was a hard lesson.
Recently, probably within the past 5 years, I played on the LGBT softball team here because I always have a special place in my heart, and I'm really good at softball.
Yeah.
I really love it. But I'm not as a spring chicken anymore, as they would say. I'm not like in my 17, 18.
I'm a capon.
But I'm balls out when I play, like straight up. Like I'm a competitive person in general. So... I mean, a healthy sense of it, let's say that, But I played, and I was playing outfield. And I mean, okay, first off, the only thing that drives me nuts about the LGBT league is that you have all these bear dudes, right? Compared, and they always put them like, this one will hit, and then some light hitter will hit, and then here's the next big burly dude who can hit it out of the park, So when you're in the outfield doing this, you probably know this. You're like, back up to the fence with the burly dude. Okay, come back into the other one. Back up, right? And they would be hitting them all over the place. And I would do these like crazy catch dives, which were like awesome moments, right? Everybody's cheering you on and stuff. But I would roll like 3 or 4 times and then wake up the next day and be like, oh my gosh.
First of all, you woke up. Yes.
I think I broke a rib.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, I'm now in my mid-30s at this point. So I was like, yeah.
After a while, you got to quit. I used to do splits on the first base. So like when they
you have to. Yeah.
And I'd stretch,
you have
and
to reach.
I could actually do a full split.
Could you really?
Down on the Yeah, on the thing. And
You're like Prince.
When I hit my knee that time and stuff, and I went.
Yeah.
But the one in the mouth.
I don't know where we went with this conversation.
I don't
We're talking
either,
about
but it was
softball,
funny.
but I love that you were a softball player. Cause
I loved it. Oh, I've got trophies at home and stuff.
Good for you.
I was going to. When I was in high school, it was either going to be music, and I was very much into sports. I played basketball. I did all that stuff, and I realized, and it's a shame that even to this day, and I'm talking about the 60s and stuff, women athletes still don't make what the men do.
Oh no, it's bullshit. I talk about the soccer.
Are you kidding?
Did you see the soccer, the thing side by side with what the women make and what the men make, and the women actually won the championship this year?
I can't stand to look at it. I really can't stand to look at it.
We're still in a very
unfair.
male-oriented world, and I hate that. And I'm always calling out our language because I took a class in college on how masculine our language is, you know, and I love to put twist on that in my original music stuff, in my solo stuff. I did a record called Welcome to the Queendom, which was a take on kingdom.
Right.
And even the word woman has, you know, or woman has man in it. So a lot of these like super feminists like to spell it with a Y. You know, when you go to the music festivals, the Ohio Women's Music Festival, they spell women WOMYN. Because they want to separate themselves.
You know, that doesn't bother me as much because that has a lot to do. I mean, to a point, because a lot of that has so much to do with history,
right?
And with what
history
that
my solo
kind of
record
thing.
is herstory.
See,
it's another masculine word.
But I like that. But I get that where the money is what bothers me more.
Yeah, the money does bother me too. Yeah, it's bullshit.
You could keep you could keep history, you can keep all that if you could raise the money to be the same level as the men.
I agree.
I deal with that. I don't call me a woman until the day I die.
2020 girl.
But
2020 vision, I'm telling you, it's going to be all about the women. Yeah. I think we're taking over. Yeah,
I don't know if I'll be around to see it because it's so slow. Why is it still to this
well because
day?
of politics and it's a divisive process and they just want to divide us so that let's not talk politics.
Right? Yeah.
That's why I got out of radio. We're back in it for the music. So let's listen to music.
Sounds good.
You
want
to do that? We're gonna listen to some Matchbox 20.
Okay.
Do you know who they are? I love to educate my guests.
Please do.
I will on our break. You're locked on to LRS102.com, The Walrus. I am Jen Yates. Stay tuned. We've got Gayle King up in the studio.
Yo!
She said it's cold outside and she hands me my raincoat.
Take the whole spectrum.
We were in
here.
They can't see us at home, but we've got our headphones on, and me and Gayle were just like throwing it down, jamming to some Pat Benatar, man.
Yeah.
I love her. I always have. You know, one thing, you're right. When you hear her voice, and this is what we love about singers, when you hear her voice, you know exactly that's Pat Benatar. It's like name that singer in two notes.
Name that singer. And there's so many that were like that. Like we were talking about the Carpenters. When Karen Carpenter sang, you didn't need to know. When Dionne Warwick sang, you just knew.
Yeah.
And I love singers that
Me too.
that are kind of like that,
and you know, I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, you know, when they try to become a singer, like, you know, on a professional level. You can't mimic anybody else. Your voice must be unique. Right. That's what we want. We want something different that we haven't heard. And we love a timbre. We love a raspy girl.
Yeah.
The first compliment I always get is, I love your voice. You know,
because you got that little raspy thing going.
I've always had it too. Everybody's like, it's because you smoke, and I'm like, no, I've always had this. You can ask my mom. Trust me, I came out of the womb like this.
Yeah.
And
well, mine was
like,
the smooth
who's
thing.
this kid?
Because it was Ella and it was Sarah. Although she had a little rasp to her voice, I think it's a lot to do with it's the timbre and the technique that they use, and that's why there would be so many pop songs that I would like. And people would, see me as a jazz singer, and then they'll come in and hear me, and I'll do something. Especially disco days. Oh my God!
Oh yeah,
I was all over
Donna
disco.
Summer Baby. Yeah.
Yes, I was.
I'm I'm a producer myself, so I love production, and I love the people who produce things. And Giorgio Moroder, very famous for producing all the Donna Summer and a lot of those disco Studio 54 tracks, and he is still producing today. He produced Daft Punk with that big track "Get Lucky"
Oh,
that they
yeah,
had a
yeah,
huge
yeah.
hit with. Yeah, he's still got that dance thing going on.
I kind of like that too. I think it's, and I know you do too. It's so good. You have
I
a
love to
favorite.
dance.
Well, you have a favorite genre, but you don't just stick down the tunnel vision of one. And a lot of people do, but I'm so glad because there's so
Right.
many. There's something out of every genre that I could pick that I like.
Me
I
too.
mean, I do a
Absolutely.
lot of that genre, but there's like if you said. And of course, I won't have a name in my head right now. But I mean, if you said rock, if you said, 80s, I loved Madonna.
Me too. I was
Oh,
wearing my Madonna
my
T-shirt last night.
gosh.
Yes.
You know, when she came out with the
or
Dick
yesterday.
Tracy thing and all that stuff, and I bought that album and all that stuff. And
What
people
did you
look
love
at
about
that.
Madonna? Because she's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, she's
Obviously, I was discovering my sexuality at the time Madonna was breaking, so it was like drool.
the thing that. Well, I always liked her songs, and I may not even like that much the video.
Probably the
you know.
piano stuff. You know, she had very famous
Yeah.
pianists. So is it that Jelly Bean? I forget what his name is, but that
She
did a
had
lot of her
lot
stuff.
Interesting chords. If you break down some of the songs that Madonna does, sometimes it's the chord changes or something that comes out. I like.
I've
to
got
hear
the
like a
intro of
rock
Papa
thing or
Don't Preach in my
something.
head. The dum dum dum
Yeah.
dum 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 dum.
But you know what I liked about her?
Bum, 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 bum.
I got the Dick Tracy soundtrack.
Oh, I love that
because
one.
when that movie came out, well, first of all, Warren Beatty with the trench coat and stuff, I went, yes, I remember it because I remember the comic strip.
Hanky Panky Girl. That was one of
I
my
did
favorite
that.
tracks
Oh, I used to do
on
that.
Dick Tracy.
And I did sooner or later too, because then that ballad that you got down
Mm-hmm.
to, but the chord changes in some of her stuff are just, I loved Vogue.
I love the
so much of her
drums in
stuff.
Live to Tell because the drummer on Live to Tell was Jeff Porcaro of Toto, who recorded Rosanna
yeah.
and all the famous Toto tracks. And
Yeah.
he also drums on Beat It by Michael Jackson.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
he died very young of he had an allergic reaction to some kind of chemical in his backyard. It was some kind of mixture of that and drugs. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, he died probably in his 30s. And I mean, like all drummers do. Well, I mean, look at Keith Moon. I mean, we could go on.
Yeah.
I could go on a tangent about that. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he really played on a ton of hits, and
Mm-hmm.
people don't even know that. But he died at like 30 years old, and he was one of the best drummers around. And people
That's
are
sad.
still like worshiping his drumming to this day. It was very sad.
Yeah.
But wow, Live to Tell, the drum part is freaking amazing,
Yeah.
and it's excuse me, it's like a really slow tempo. So you have to have so much control when you play a slow tempo. You know this probably.
Drums have always amazed me, and a drummer that can sing, I've always been in awe of, because then you've got 5 things going at the same time. You got your mouth and all 4 of your
Well-
limbs, and how in the world do you do that? Is just amazing to me.
Well, and if you think about it, because we can go into music theory all day, because I love theory and I love to get geeky with that.
Yeah.
But if you look at music, there are 2 parts that make up music and everything that we hear. And you know what those are? They're rhythm and melody, right? And then you have harmony as a third. But, you can't have a melody line without a rhythm underneath it. But you can have a rhythm without a melody. So rhythm really is the foundation of everything we do. It's when we're born with a heartbeat, we have a rhythm inside of us. As soon as that's gone, we're gone. You know what I mean? So, I think when you're playing drums, you're holding down the rhythmic part. But if you add vocals on that, now you have to stay in pitch. You have to hear key. You have to get your lyrics right.
It's just amazing.
All these different parts of the brain. Yeah.
That's
you ever
what
seen a
a-
rapping drummer? That's what I do.
Oh my gosh!
You know that's what I do.
No, I can't imagine. I
Yes.
know the drummer in our, the drummer in Indigo in the small group.
Mm-hmm.
He sings, and so they
some of the
sing,
best people
and then
have
they
been-
sing harmony.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not even the melody; they're singing harmony and playing drums.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you how hard that is, because unless I have an in-ear monitor, I can't hear that because when you're behind a drum set, you're hearing it from your own perspective. In fact, I like to record like this. I like to record with the microphones exactly like I'm sitting behind the kit.
Mm-hmm.
That way you hear my perspective of it, because the sound changes once you get out front of a drum kit.
Yeah, it sure does.
So
It
to
sure
be
does.
able to hear pitch and hit keys like you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
man, I need it right in my ears.
It's amazing because we didn't do all that back in the day. You just sang.
Yeah, you just sang. Right. Now we've got electronics, and you always see them hitting their earpiece and holding their earpiece, or
I tell
ripping
you,
one out live.
I fight as much of that as
Yeah,
I possibly
I know.
can.
I can see why.
I know I have to do it. Well, what's neat about the show now for the Night of the Living Dead, last year I was just
let's
on
talk about that.
grand piano, which is wonderful. But I just stayed on the grand piano in War of the Worlds last year. This year we've added an electric piano.
Yeah.
That's kind of a small one, but I play the show on that. So now I can get all these eerie different sounds.
Ooh.
And I've even listened to the movie. So I'm doing some of the actual movie soundtrack
Ooh.
on the keyboard and with
Do you have to
different
play a
sounds.
theremin at all? Because theremins are very famous in scary movies.
No.
Oh, a theremin sound. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, theremin, where you wave your hand. It's in the Beach Boys' Good Vibrations in the background. It's a more of a modern instrument. A guy named Theremin actually
Are you
invented
talking
it.
about ooh?
Well, some keyboards have this thing where you can wave your hand over it. You don't even have to touch.
No, because I'm
That's
not
a theremin.
in. but
Okay.
I play a
Yeah.
real piano, and
I
then
understand.
I get an electric keyboard,
Yeah.
and I go, can I have these 5 sounds?
Patches, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't this, I don't
know
that.
yeah. So, real quick, I've got questions for you about what you're doing currently, because I wanted to remind everybody that you can check out Gayle King. Are you musical director on that?
Well,
Are you just playing?
I wouldn't say music director
Okay.
because I'm underscoring.
Okay.
I'm underscoring for the show.
Yeah.
And then Laura and I are doing the pre-show. So actually what we're telling people is to, like if the show's at 7, we're telling people to come at, I am.
Yeah.
Telling people to come at 6:30.
Okay.
Because people usually get somewhere at 6, a half
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
But you kind of wander in and you maybe go here and go there.
You got to have a little cocktail hour right before.
Well, and there
some
is a bar.
chillax time.
And
Yeah.
there is a bar. And there's an
Uh-oh.
intermission this year. There wasn't an intermission last
Okay.
year. And they're also selling T-shirts. But the thing that's neat about it is that we want people to come and be seated
Yeah.
at 6:30 so you can hear our 30-minute show. Then they take a little tiny break, and then we start the show. So the
Okay.
actual show starts at 7, Thursday through Saturday, 2 on Sundays, except Iron Man Sunday.
You're right.
But we're telling people to come at 6:30.
Okay.
To be there at 6:30
Yeah.
on the night shows, and to be there at 1:30 for the Sunday shows, so you can enjoy our little 30
I want
minute
to come. I want to
thing.
come. I love the Night of the Living Dead. I
Please do.
always have. Yeah, I told you. I just recently saw it projected on a barn.
Well, please do. Yeah, well, let me know when you want to come.
I will.
Yeah.
And it runs all the way till Halloween.
To Halloween
I'm coming.
night
Don't think
itself.
don't dare me to
Yes,
come. I
yes,
like
yes,
that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're gonna love it.
All right, I know I will, because I'm a huge fan. First off of, like I said, horror movies and classics. I'm a big cult classic, like B movie type fan. If
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch
yeah,
a movie, I like
yeah.
something, and I love cheesy horror, like Evil Dead. That whole they're doing a musical
my
on that too
gosh.
now. But Evil Ash is like one of my all-time favorite
Yeah.
horror movie characters. He's
well,
just hilarious.
I'm hoping that this will continue and become a thing.
I think it will.
Every October, because there's wonderful people that are in it, and the way the adaptations are just, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I would go. I really would, because to see a radio show, and for the younger generations, it's because you get a little history,
Yeah.
along with a little entertainment at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
And
It's
an
kind of
old
fun.
school, we should say old school radio show, because
Yeah, oh,
that's
yes.
back when they're actually doing the shows live on the radio. They're making the sound effects. Everything's going on.
Exactly.
And for people who don't know, underscoring is when you play music underneath a piece that's kind of like background noise.
Right, and that goes to when you see an old movie like that. Oh, now this is happening. Da, da, you
Yeah,
always hear this music
right.
coming up and stuff, and that's kind of what I'm supplying underneath. So it's not as much music directing. No one's singing in the show
Yeah.
or anything like that. But
Are there any, like, I would think that if you're going to do a scary piece, which, I mean, technically, I guess Night of the Living Dead wasn't scary, but at the time it was. It's not, it's kind of cheesy to us now, but
Oh, yeah.
looking back at those old movies, like I said, the zombies, it takes them like 5 years to get to them.
I mean, you
know
could
what
walk away from them backwards,
Right,
You know?
and it's one of those, because I love George Romero as a director, because I'm a big fan of all, like Hitchcock,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I love all the great directors, Tarantino, I love them. But anyway, especially the horror movie, the scary ones, But he was so genius at that, back then, and I compare Romero to Hitchcock a lot, because they are very similar in their very slow, suspenseful styles, and you never ever see blood or anything. It just leaves it to the imagination, which makes it way scarier
Well, yeah, it's
than
just
seeing
like
some
the
of the
love
shit that we
scenes.
see in like Saw.
But it's
today or
like the
whatever.
love scenes. It used to be,
Right.
you saw the tall candle, and then you saw the short candle.
Yeah.
And then you put in whatever you thought happened.
Yes.
But now it's, there's no imagination. There it is, right in front of you.
Right.
Stuff.
Yeah. I'm like, leave a little mystery. Come on,
Right.
people. Yeah, that's what made it so crazy back then. But
Yeah.
also something that's so different back then in movies compared to what we have now. My father always said he thought I would go to film school because he was like, you were always with a video camera around you. The old 8mm handheld
Oh my
ones that
gosh,
didn't even
yeah.
have audio on them.
Yeah.
From the time I was a kid, I was all about those things. I loved the technology of it. But and so growing up, I would study movies and directors, and I worked. One of my great friends went out to USC Film School, and then he came back here
Oh, cool.
to Kentucky, and I got to actually assistant produce and assistant direct a movie with him, which starred Wilford Brimley, the dude from Cocoon.
Yeah.
I've gotten to direct him before. He came to Kentucky, and we did a ghost story called Resurrection Mary. I think it's probably on Vimeo or YouTube or something.
That is so
but it's
cool.
based off of the true Resurrection Mary story up in Chicago somewhere. And that was really cool. We were filming in Creepy House late at night. Wilford Brimley's there. You have to watch it. It's a great flick. It's about a reporter who is going to trace back some kind of story. He gets lost in the middle of the country, and the house actually we filmed at was not too far from my house growing up. So, it's all farmland. So there's some creepy places down there, and it's an abandoned house.
Oh,
and
no.
Yeah, it was super cool. I loved it. We were out digging graves in the middle of the night, and filming it.
I'll stick with the radio station.
I know. Meanwhile, you're playing Night of the Living Dead, and
There
you're
you
freaked
go.
out by that. Yeah, no. But yeah, film is always, but Tarantino and Romero, everything is so slow back then.
Yeah.
I feel like, and by the way, you'll love this. They put out a study on our music and our hits and our music recently, right? And they did all these studies on it. The beats per minute of most pop songs that make us dance that have been hits, since the 60s have been in the 120 beats per minute range. 120 beats per minute, right? And they were looking at that. Well, that was the 60s and 70s. Well, currently, as we've gone through time, our musical pop hits are now like 20 or 30 beats per minute faster than the ones back in the 60s and 70s. And they credit it to all the Red Bull, all the sugar intake, the shit that gets you. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. That's a true study that came out in a music journal.
Everything's faster.
It is. Everything's faster.
faster.
And we're now much more of a visual society. And I have found when I've done music videos, like, if I do slow shit, people tune out in like 2 seconds. But if I'm like edit on top of editing and all this and make it quick, then you pay attention, because I don't know why that is, but as
and I fight
we've moved
that
through
with
time, that has changed
I fight all
in
that
music.
with every fiber of
I
my
know you
being.
do. You're
I
old
really
school
do.
girlfriend. Yeah.
And I'm proud to be that way. I'm
Good.
glad that I still sit and write.
Right. I love
just a
that
wonderful
too.
therapy
We talked
thing.
about that earlier
Yeah,
about
yeah.
writing notation.
You
I
need to
love
slow
to
down
physically
sometimes.
write music.
You need to slow down sometimes.
I agree.
You really do.
Yeah.
So
Life is pretty
I
rocking.
like my speed. I like
So do
my
I.
Speed. You all know what that meant.
I have no idea. Oh, that meant you got to put more money in my tip jar, and we're going to donate more money to charity. Oh man! So we've got a few more minutes. I want to wrap it up with you and let you get on your Friday way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've got a show. Well, we opened last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
congrats!
so-
How was opening?
yeah,
I didn't even ask you.
Oh, I think it was great. I don't
have no
know if there's
doubts.
a review. I think there might be one. but
There'll
I
probably
haven't
be
seen
one
it.
online today. If I
Yeah.
see it, I'll repost it for you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And let's work together again. I would love to work
would
with you
love
again.
to do that.
Yeah.
Love to do it. And the CDs have taken over a lot of things too, which
Oh, I'm
is
sure.
which is a little sad. It's
Yeah.
good for. It's good. I get the good of it.
Oh, you mean the
And
tracks?
I'm saying,
you mean
yeah,
tracks?
yeah,
Like they're
because
hiring people instead of
so
hiring
many
musicians, they're spinning tracks. This is a cool story about this. I know a lot of artists are playing with tracks now, which drive me crazy. But as a drummer, I like to chop those up and be able to trigger them on and off electronically.
Yeah.
Because that means a human is doing it, and it's not as programmed
I
as
still
possible.
like playing it. I know some shows will be because now I'm through at the tech. because they're going to do the show with the CD.
Right.
And so I don't get to play
Yeah.
the show. And that's happening more and more.
The only thing I hate about theater is the fact that you work with all these amazing people. There's 100 people working on one project to make it awesome, right? For everybody else. And it's the entertainment stuff, and there's all these facets going on. But when the end of the run's over, because you have like these 13-night runs, or you might, like you said, a Derby dinner, have a 6 to 8 month run or week run.
Lord.
God, let's not go months. You'll be sitting out there. Now, anyway, I'm not going to go there. But anyway, yes, you might have a 6 to 8 week run, and you get attached to these people and these parts and this music. I played Sweeney Todd. I could play Sweeney Todd every night that I live from here on out.
That's an awesome
It's
show.
one of my favorites, and so is Sondheim. And man, that play is so dark and genius. And I'm sorry, but if they're, anybody who writes about chopping somebody up and putting them in meat pies and
I don't really want to party with them.
No, but that's a genius play. It was so cool. And I got
is.
hit with blood splatter every night in the orchestra pit. I was playing, my drums still have blood stains on them because of this.
Oh my God.
They had a knife, and they kill off everybody in Sweeney Todd. He's
Yeah.
slicing throats and slicing, dicing left and right. Well, I was right there. The pit set's right in front of the stage, behind a barrier, a black barrier, so nobody can see us. And they would throw the blood splatter at me every night, not on purpose.
Yeah.
It just would hit me. I'd be there playing, and of course I'm trying to focus on my music and read my musical score, and I'd be like, what was that on my face? Oh, it's blood everywhere. Yeah. And then I have white drum heads, and they're coated drum heads, so they absorb very well. And now I've got blood all over everything.
That's crazy, but what a legacy to have, though.
Right.
I have Sweeney Todd drum heads.
Exactly.
I
know. Well, actually, there's a metal drummer from a band named Lamb of God, and his name is Chris Adler. And I actually almost chopped my finger. I've almost chopped my finger off multiple times playing drums, because if you're in the moment and your blood's pumping and you're not paying attention, there's my snare drum still.
Oh, the rims.
You can hit lots of different things that can cut your fingers up and do things. And I talk about this about having to carry super glue. That's what Stevie Ray Vaughan did, because his fingers would split open sometimes. And in the heat of the moment, if you've still got to play for another hour and a half,
You super glue your...
you have to, so you don't feel it.
No, you don't have to.
Well, you have to do something in the heat of the moment is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But yeah, where was I going with that?
I don't know, but it's very
Let's
macabre.
not talk about it. I know.
It's very Night of the Living Dead-ish.
It is very Night of the Living Dead-ish. Well, I love that you're playing that. Let's remind everybody, we want them to come see you doing the radio show, the _ Night of the Living Dead, Kentucky Shakespeare.
At Louisville Public Media,
At
which
the
is
Louisville
on
Public Media.
4th Street, just shy of the Palace. I always say it's between Chestnut and Broadway, near the Palace on 4th Street.
Yeah.
But it's called Louisville Public Media, and you will enjoy it. It
Awesome.
is okay to bring older kids. I wouldn't bring... young ones. I wouldn't bring somebody 5, or I wouldn't bring someone. You'd be surprised. So but 10 and up, 11 and up, I think, like I said, the younger one that was there last night, she really did enjoy the show, and she was focused on it, and
Cool.
because there's just so much to see. This person's doing that, and this person's eating this, and this person's
Yeah, it's
banging on
busy.
that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, Gayle King, it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you.
I had lots of
and I
fun.
cannot wait to get to play with you again.
Yeah.
I want to come see your show.
Please
obviously.
do. So let me know.
Yeah,
Let me know
I
when you wanna
will.
come.
Yes, I will absolutely. I'm coming. I love anything Night of the Living Dead, and we're approaching. We're approaching Halloween. It's October. It's my favorite month ever.
Yeah.
I walked outside today and was like, "Holy crap! I think fall is finally here."
Oh my gosh!
Praise
Finally.
be.
I can't
fall
believe
is
it.
here.
Yes,
We
yes.
love it.
I don't know if we
Yes.
were going to get it or not.
Right. Yeah. So you are welcome back on LRS Airwaves on Generation Nation anytime I'm here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
and
much.
next time you have some kind of cool, crazy project, you just bring it on my way. I'm going to leave you with one more question because I'm so curious.
Uh-oh.
What do you think of Lizzo, the new? Have you heard of her? Okay, she's a new, and this is why I love classically trained musicians, because they're all like, "What's going on?" Like I once had an orchestra director ask me who the hell Garth Brooks was. And I was
Now
like,
that I know.
Yeah, I know you know. Well,
him. I know
Lizzo
him.
is the new big pop star that's got the #1 hit in the country right now with "Truth Hurts," and she is a twerking master flute player. Yes, with amazing vocals.
I've got a picture. I'm getting a twerking flute player.
A twerking flute player. That's kind of her shtick to kind of make her people pay attention to her.
You got
kinda
my attention.
Yeah, well, good. So after you leave here, I want you to do one thing for me. Next time you're at a computer, watch her tiny desk NPR interview. And then go listen to some of her music, and I'll send you which tracks to listen to.
I absolutely will.
She sold out the Louisville Palace 2 nights ago.
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe
you'll
it.
love her, Gayle King. I think you will love her because you have an appreciation for all musical styles. And
I'll be very interested.
I think you're gonna dig some Lizzo for real.
I'll be interested in hearing it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you've been locked on to Jyneration Nation, LRS102.com, The Walrus. I am Jen Yates. This is Gayle King.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. And if you drink, take an Uber or a Lyft. And come find me and party with me.